Hello and welcome to Fire in the Belly. Today we'll have myself, Mighty Pete, and we are joined by the Tara Chatzakis. Good afternoon to you.
Hi, Pete. How are you doing today?
Awesome. Listen, great to have you on the show. You're all the way from the Isle of Wight today?
I am, yes, in the UK, a small island off the south coast, and it's mighty cold, Mighty Pete.
Fantastic. Well, that's great. So, Tara, tell us, who are you, what do you do, and where are you from?
So I am a law of attraction and a Robbins Madness coach, and I help women step into their highest potential so that they can create the reality that they want. I'm from Yorkshire originally. The surname's not Yorkshire, if you'd noticed. I was married to a Greek guy and I lived there for 12 years. And then I came to the Isle of Wight because I thought it's probably hotter on the Isle of Wight than it is in Yorkshire. So that's why I came to live here.
You're just about still in the UK, but you're as far outside of it as you could be.
I couldn't get much south, more south. So I thought I'll come here. It's going to be warm.
So yeah, so we're in the UK region, but as close to the sort of European and the equator as you can get. Yeah. I love it. So tell us, give us a bit of a background. Law of attraction, what is it all about?
So the law of attraction is, a lot of people, actually, I think everybody knows about it, but I don't think they do they really? I was speaking to a guy yesterday and he thought it was about being attracted to somebody across a crowded room, which is not. So a law of attraction is the attraction of the things that you bring into your reality. So it's the universe matching your vibrational energy within your body, and you attract situations, people, experiences back to you to match that vibrational energy in your body. So that's what you're attracting. It's a bit like the law of gravity. It's a pulling back to you kind of situation.
So what you think is what you get. Is that a fair summary?
Yeah, your thoughts do become things, but there are more things involved apart from just thinking, oh, I want to be rich. Yeah, it doesn't just work as simply as that. There's more things that go into the manifestations than just thinking, but your thoughts are so powerful. They are one of the most powerful energies that you have in your body, and they do help create the reality around you.
Oh, okay. So how long have you been doing this then? I mean, is this something new for you or something that's always been in the background?
I've been studying it for well over a decade. I am certified as a law of attraction coach. I think it was, oh my God, I don't know, about 4 or 5 years ago now, with one of the guys from The Secret. But I never really, I did it more for myself, sort of to learn the mechanics of it more for me than for teaching. But being a coach is something that I think you have within you, that's something that you've always wanted to do. So when it came to last year, to COVID, I thought, now's my time. You know, when you say, oh, when I have the time, I'll do this. I had the time last year. So I started my coaching business last year.
Wow. Okay. And how have you found it?
It's been up and down. Let's put it that way. It's been a challenge, but I've loved it. And I've grown so much from going through it. And I'm at the point now where I couldn't see myself doing anything else. There's no going back. You know, when you get to that point of, this is it now, this is my mission, and I'm not going back into anything other than this. So yeah, I love it. I love what I do.
Oh, wow. Well, tell us, I mean, what does fire in the belly mean to you then, Tara?
Fire in the belly means to me to be doing something that you absolutely love, that not necessarily that makes you bounce out of bed every morning, because that's not always the case. But even when you know that things are difficult, just knowing that you get to do something or make that impact is just enough to get you excited, to get you through the day.
And is it something you have? Have you always had fire in the belly yourself, or?
Yeah, I think everybody always has a fire in their belly, but it just depends on whether or not they allow themselves to access it. I mean, for years I did what I thought I had to do, not what I wanted to do. And that certainly was not a fire in the belly moment. It was, you know, what needed to be done to put food on the table, or it was the job that I thought I had to do. And I got stuck in that wheel. And I think a lot of people do. And it's not until something happens that you realize that life shouldn't just be good, it's supposed to be great. And that's when the fire in the belly comes out, isn't it?
Is that contrast, that moment of, as you say, things aren't quite what they're supposed to be, and that, I mean, is that a moment of amazing contrast that sort of from great change or challenge, comes the opportunities? Do you think?
Yes, definitely. And I think everybody has them. Everyone has so much potential within them to do great things, but we just get used to living every single day. It's a bit like the Groundhog Day movie, every single day is exactly the same. It's just different people, different circumstances, but there's nothing new. And you get used to doing that. And I think, sometimes the universe gives you a in the face, like it could be ill health, it could be redundancy, or a situation that really makes you wake up. It could be more subtle than that, because it gives you nudges all throughout. Maybe you should be doing this, maybe you should be following this dream. What about that you wanted to do? And if you keep ignoring it, that's when the universe is like, okay, hold on a minute, now I'm going to slap you and you're going to wake up. And that's when people decide, okay, now I'm going to do what I need to do, what I want to do.
So what were the big changes for you then? I mean, what did it take to step you out of your sequence or your pattern?
It was actually one comment that somebody made to me. So I was training to be a personal fitness trainer in a modality called T-TAP. And I was talking with one of the ladies who was actually already a T-TAP trainer. And she said to me, I was in a period that was really unhappy in my marriage. And she said to me, what are you going to do about it? And I was like, what do you mean? What am I allowed to do something about it? And I know that sounds crazy. It sounds like a really unbelievable thought that was going through my head. But I actually thought that I was in this situation. I was in this marriage, and that was it. I had to be there because I'd chosen this path. And I never even thought that I had the freedom of choice to change things, because I'd got so stuck in being that trapped person. So her saying that to me made me wake up and think, oh, okay, maybe I could do something more. And then, I tell everyone this story and they're all like, oh, this sounds a bit bizarre, but I had a hug from the universe. And I don't think many people have experienced that. So it's like a warm, it's like a proper hug that you'd give somebody to comfort them, but it was all over my body. And I knew intuitively that it was supportive, loving energy. And I felt loved, and I felt that I couldn't fail, that no matter what I wanted to do, there was some energy, some force that was beside me, helping me through it, and that I could do anything. And that was a turning point for me. There's like, okay, now I have to start looking at what I do want, which, sometimes it's the contrast of seeing what you don't want that shows you what you do want, and start working towards that. So that was my wake up call.
That's super interesting. I mean, would you say, are you generally pain driven, or driven by not lack per se, but what has happened, or are you driven by the pleasure of what could happen?
I'm definitely the person that needs to get away from the pain rather than move towards the pleasure. And I think, for example, that period in my life when I was so low, I didn't have the capacity to imagine what I wanted. I couldn't see the pleasure that I was going towards. I just knew that I had to get away from the pain that I was in. And I think a lot of people, it depends on what situation they've got going on, but you can't always visualize what you do want because you're so far removed from it. It's like a completely different world. It's not something that you can imagine because it's so alien to you. So it's a matter of getting away from the pain first, starting the actions to get away, and then things start to come to you and paths start to open up and you start to be more aware of the things that you want.
Do you know what you want? Are you always clear, or have you been clear?
No.
I appreciate your honesty.
I guess, I have certain goals and dreams now, but they're always changing. There's nothing set in stone. And because we're always evolving as beings, nothing is, you're never at a destination, are you? You know, you're always on your journey to something else. So, you know, as I like to talk about it, if you're, let's say you want to walk from your house to a shop, and as you set off on your journey, you know the distance and you know where you want to go. But when you're on that journey, you might suddenly see a shortcut that you didn't know existed before, and you take that route instead. Or you might see another path and you think, oh, I wonder what's down that road. So you're always heading towards the same direction, but there might be different opportunities and avenues that you're taking, which are better for you and more fun, but you can't see until you start on the journey itself.
Mm. How do you know when you're on the right path?
I think you can feel that anyway, because, your body is, or your emotions are like your, a bit like a GPS system. So if you're doing something that's not right for you, that's not healthy, that's not going to benefit you, that's when you feel bad. If it's not true and good for you, that's when you feel a bad emotion and you feel anxious and upset. If you're doing something and it feels good to you, that's because it is the right path for you and it is the truth for you as well.
Yeah. And what would you describe yourself? Are you intuitive? Are you very aware of your own feelings? How would you describe that in terms of your interaction with yourself and with others?
I've become better at it. When I was way back when, with the Hug of the Universe time, I had kind of switched it off. So I numbed the emotions so much that I didn't feel anything, because I didn't want to acknowledge my feelings. I didn't want to be sad or be upset or have hope, because, all of those things made me upset. So I'd switched it off. Now, obviously, I work on getting those emotions out. And if it's not a good emotion, what does that mean? And why am I feeling like that? So I do process my emotions, and I do think about them a lot more than, the past when I was going through other situations.
Yeah, it's always amazing how much we process retrospectively, right? Because do you believe, can you change your past, do you think?
Yes and no, I think you can. So obviously you can't change the things that happened. Although they are, I do believe that things are happening at the same time. So they're like parallel time zones, if you like. So you can go back in time in that respect, but you can change how you perceived that period and how you feel about that period. And if it's quite a traumatic time, if it was quite a traumatic time in your life, and that those sort of invisible scars have stayed with you, you have to be able to release them and see them from a different perspective. Maybe see the good in that situation that came out of it. When I was so low, if I hadn't have been through that, then I probably wouldn't have been the person that I am now. I wouldn't have gone into coaching maybe, or I wouldn't have been as passionate about helping women as I am now. So there's always got to be a good that comes out of something. And that change in perception can change how you process what happened in that situation. And that's kind of like rewriting the past, isn't it?
Absolutely. Well, it's perception, right? Because you can't change the fact, but you can change the beliefs or the perceptions around it. So, it's things happen for different reasons, right? I mean, are you where you're supposed to be, do you think?
Yes, most 100%, definitely. Yeah. Obviously I'm still on a path. I'm still on a journey to my destination, or I suppose there's never a destiny. You never get to the end, do you? But yeah, this is part of my process. This is part of my journey, and being happy with where I am right now and acknowledging the challenges and the successes and all these things are helping me to get better at what I do and helping me to move further forward. So yeah, I love my life right now. There's some things I would like to change, but they're in the process of, as is always, as we're always expanding and evolving.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, it's that whole thing, isn't it? Life's happening for you, not to you. Once you get your head around that.
Exactly. You know, if you think it's happening to you, you're always the victim, and you know you're handing your control to an external environment or reality or person. And when you believe that life's happening for you, you take back control, and that's when you can step into your power and choose the path that you take and choose what happens to you.
Mm. What path do you normally choose? I mean, what role would you normally play?
What do you mean?
So as in, I mean, I suppose, okay, expand on the question is, what's your style? What's your best way to interact with others and interact with yourself?
To interact with other people. So I try to not judge people. I'm getting better at it. But I think we always have the immediate judgment that we make on people when we see them. But I know that that's not the reality. There's always more behind it as well. I try to listen and be open to different opinions. Maybe people and I have a difference of opinion. We don't agree on things, but that doesn't make somebody else's opinion better or worse than mine. So I try and be open-minded about situations and people and how they interact with me. And for my path, there are, like I say, things that I want to achieve. And I know that, you know, where I want to go, I'm not ready to be there yet. I know that there are things that I have to learn to get me to that level. So that makes the whole process of not rushing myself to have this level of success or this level of something else, because I know that when I'm ready and when I can emotionally and physically accommodate it, then I will step into that level.
Are you clear now on what success would mean for you now, and how does that compare to what you maybe would have wanted previously?
You mean previously as in when I had the universe hug, that kind of previously?
Yeah. So I mean, back to, you know, it's almost the before and after, the before hug and after hug, you know.
Yeah, so when I was back then, as I said, it was moving away from the pain more than moving towards pleasure, because I didn't know what that was. And it took me a while to work it out, where I wanted to go, what I wanted to do. As I said, we were living in Greece. I have 3 daughters, and I had to make the choice to either just move out of the family home with them or move back to the UK. It would have been more difficult for me to stay there. So I came back to England, which wasn't easy either, but it was easier than setting up in a foreign country. So, you know, that at that point, I didn't have a version of success. Anything was better than where I had been. So it was, you know, the fact that I didn't have to, when I was sort of in the house in the UK when we first moved here, if I heard a moped, for example, a motorbike, I used to panic and think my husband was coming home. And that it took me a while to get past that and think, no, it's all right. You can calm down. It's not him. You can relax. He's not even in the same country, let alone outside your house on a bike. So those were small steps. And I didn't see the bigger picture of anything by then. It was just getting to the point of being able to move forward and rebuild myself, because I didn't have any self-confidence, or I had really low self-esteem. I didn't think I was good at anything when I came back. So I had a lot of rebuilding to do myself, and that was quite hard. So there was no ambition of, oh, I want to achieve this, I want to do that, because that wasn't even, I didn't even aspire to do anything. Now I have dreams and ambitions. Now I have things that I want to achieve. Now I want to, you know, impact women globally, which is, you know, part of podcasting and also with my coaching. And, you know, if I can appear on a summit or things like that, then I'm there because I want to get my message out. And it's taken a while for me to get the confidence to do that and not think of people laughing at me and saying, who does she think she is? Now I don't care, because I have a bigger mission, and it's important that I don't step back from that. You know, it's bigger than me. I know people say that and it sounds a bit weird, but it is. I have to be part of there has to be more than me doing this movement, but I have a part to play in it. So.
And that's so the change, because I mean, you have your own podcast as well, Happy, Inspired, Motivated podcast. So, and congratulate you've gone over 100 episodes. I think 106, I reckon, roughly.
Yeah, just over 100. Yeah,
it's fantastic. Well, how does that feel, first of all?
I don't know. Amazing. When I started my podcast last year, I'd never even listened to podcasts when I started it. It just so happened that I came across somebody who was teaching podcasts, and I thought, oh, well, I'll have a look. And I just started doing it. And I love it. It's one of my favorite things to do. And then I'm in the top 5% globally, which was like, oh my goodness, how did that even happen? And, things like that happen to you when you're giving and not worrying about receiving. When the more you give, the more you receive. So I want to get my message out. I want people to hear, and I want people to hear from others that have experienced inspirational journeys in their life. So yeah, it's a massive milestone for me to be able to have sat on a podcast and talked to people every single week, twice a week, for the past year. It's like, it takes a lot of courage, doesn't it, to start a podcast, as you would know. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's very rewarding as well.
Do you find yourself in a flow state? I mean, do you when you're actually on and speaking to people, I mean, is that your natural state?
Yeah, I love speaking to people. I'm a real people person. I'm the person during COVID. I was like, I need to go out and hug people just randomly, kiss them in the street. And my daughter's like, please, Mom, calm down. You can't do that. But I like being around people. I love people, and I love finding out about them as well. So it's great for me to be able to interview people on the show and learn about them and learn about their history and their journey and their ambitions. Things like that get me really excited, that people have got dreams as well and how they achieve the dreams that they've got so far. I do solo episodes as well. So when I'm doing those as well, I get into a kind of flow. So I don't know, I sort of tap into the universe, sort of, not in a trancy type way, but it comes through me what I need to say. I don't worry about, I have to get this message across, and I need this strategy in my podcast, and I need to do this, and I need to include all these things. It comes from my heart. And I think that's a better message to give out to people.
Has that evolved through time? The more you do it, it's speaking from the heart or speaking from, your intuition. Do you think, I mean, is it a muscle? Does it need to build up and just
definitely? Yeah. I mean, I haven't listened to my earlier episodes, but I can imagine they're a lot different to the ones now. In the beginning, I didn't know what to say. I was like, oh my God, what am I going to talk about today? And now it's much easier, and it flows much more easily, because I'm more in tune and aligned with my passion and my mission than I was when I started, like just over 12 months ago. Well, no, 18 months ago. Yeah. So it's things have changed a lot. My message has changed a lot, and my ability to express my message has changed a lot as well. So yeah, if people are going to listen to my podcast, don't listen to the first few episodes. It's probably not going to set you up for great success.
It's amazing though, isn't it? But I mean, that's the beauty of experience in life. I mean, listen, I'm sure we look back at a number of things in life and potentially slightly cringe and going, I wouldn't do that again. But
yeah, exactly. You do, because you grow so much, but and unless you look back at it, then you don't realize how far you've come. So that's a great thing for like celebrating your wins, isn't it? Look at where you started and make a journey of that, and then think, oh my goodness, I've done really well. I've done, if I think back to my early days of podcasting, it's completely different, but I don't think about it very often. But yeah, it's been a good journey, and I love it.
Well, what have you learned from podcasting?
It's given me a lot more confidence. It's kind of a form of public speaking, isn't it? Even though you're not like on a stage, you have to be able to speak and not be too embarrassed or afraid. And I know that it's, you're talking to yourself as such, especially when you're on Zoom, but it opens you up a lot more for building confidence, and also to get the more you speak about what you're doing, the more clearer you become on what you're doing as well. And interviewing people, I've learned so many things from the people that I've interviewed. Like I come away and I was like, wow, I didn't know that before. And it's just phenomenal that they're teaching me at the same time, and I become a better person for what I've learned from them. It's just like, yeah, it's just great, the things that people teach me and their perspectives. I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. I'll try that. So it's, it benefits me as a person as well as through my podcast.
It is powerful, especially when someone takes the time to share, and and you take the time to host them, and they say, well, this worked for me, right? This was a turning point, or this is where I was, where I went to, and this was the key that unlocked it for me. And that's, I think that's a beautiful service. It's, to share that with people. And listen, it may resonate with some, it may not, but that's okay too. It's right. We're all different.
But it resonates with me.
Yeah.
I always come away from my interviews thinking, wow, why did I not know that before? Or it might be something that I did know, but when you hear it again, you're like, yeah, I'd forgotten that. So it's, it's always you're always learning something, which we know we are anyway, but it's when you're having those kind of interviews and they're person to person, and they're, directly relating to that person's life, the impact that their journey has had, it creates waves within me and other people. And that's really important.
Well, that's it. It's that sort of inspiration, isn't it? Or that is it the contrast and looking at someone else's life, or is it the seeing what motivates them, or what is it, do you think, that actually we gain so much from talking to other people?
So for my podcast interviews, I like to interview people who have been through not a similar journey to mine, but have been, started their businesses from the ground up type of thing. And they've overcome some hurdle to get to where they are. So I like the fact that it's inspirational. It gives me the juice to keep going as well, because, they've made a huge success. And, I'm not at the £1 million level. I'm not, anywhere near that yet, but it gives me the motivation to keep going, and the people who are listening as well. And it could be that, they have tips that you can incorporate into your life to help you grow as well as a person and as a business. But it's also the fact that, these are real life people who, haven't come from mega backgrounds, who may have come from like £30,000 in debt or whatever they were, but they believed in what they were doing, and they carried on, and they showed up, and they've made a huge success. And that, it's great to remember that when you're on your journey, or when you're starting out and you don't see the progress. You've got your dreams and ambitions, and you're manifesting them, but you don't always see immediate results. You don't see the like I said, when you're in it, you don't see the difference that it's making as you're traveling on your journey. But when you look back, you see it. So seeing somebody else's journey, which could be similar to yours, gives you it spurs you on to keep going, because, you know that you're on the right path too. There's nothing can stop you either if you really want something.
Is that, would that be almost a rule for life for you? That sort of just keep going. Is that, is that a sort of a mantra, or is there a set of sort of promises or an ethos by which you work to?
It is definitely to keep going. If you're stopping, then you're quitting, because you're not getting any further. And it's the action steps. So like the universe can give you anything that you want. It can manifest anything that you ask it to. And you don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to know how everything's going to pan out or how you're going to achieve everything, but you have to take action. So if you don't start moving, you're never going to see those shortcuts that you might find when you're walking down the street. You're never going to see that new store or something that might encourage you to do something else. You're not going to see the new things until you start moving and you start taking action. So just showing up every day, just one action step in the right direction. I was talking on a live today about let's say you wanted to, you were earning 30K a year, you wanted to earn 100K a year. And then you were like, okay, well, I'm going to write a book to make this happen. By dictating that it has to be the book, you automatically start shutting all these doors of opportunity that could help you get to that 100K faster or easier or in a better way, because you're saying it has to be through this book. But you have to still start writing the book. That has to be your action step. So not saying it has to come from the book, but I would like to write the book. That's going to be part of my journey, and starting to do that. And that will open you opportunities for you. And it might be that your book never gets published. That doesn't matter. The fact that you started doing that, it may have introduced you to somebody else. It may have made you experience something else, or you might have realized that you have a passion for something along the way while you're doing that. So, there are things that open up through you taking action steps, but as long as you're not dictating that action step is how you're going to create your success. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I mean, from what I got, it's almost like there's energy in motion there, right? It's that at least set off. You might discover that actually it's not quite right, or tried that and just didn't resonate, which is fine. Listen, that's good. I mean, sometimes if it's nothing more than stopping doing the things that don't bring us joy, and but actually something I found did bring me joy, then that's a win too, right?
Yeah. And they do say that emotion is energy in motion, isn't it? That's that's what it means, that you're actually doing something, you're getting the emotion because you're moving, you're taking the action steps.
Do you find people get you? I mean, do people sort of look at you a bit weirdly and go, what are you talking about? Or are you surrounded by enough people now that go, yeah, I get Tara, that's cool, I like it?
Some people still look at me and they're like, oh. Especially my mom and dad, they're like, what are you talking about? But yeah, I think people that have followed me for a while, obviously, I've improved the way that I express myself and the way that I talk about my message. Because in the past, I wrote a book years ago and it was horrendous. It was terrible. It was just like a brain dump of everything that I knew. And if it had been published, it would have failed miserably because it was terrible. It really was bad. But that's because I was just writing all the information that I knew and all the details of things like, quantum leaps and things like that, and neuroplasticity. And people are just people don't need to know that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. They need to know that I can help them do something. They need to know that their result is important to me. Their success is important to me. And how I get them that success, how I work with them isn't important. So they don't need to know, oh, we're going to look at neuroplasticity today, because that's like, well, that doesn't mean anything to me and I don't really care. But if I can show them how to do that and it helps them, that's more important to them. So it's not necessarily that I'm talking about what I do. I'm talking about how what I do is going to help them, if that makes sense, rather than the actual thing that I'm doing. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, what we want and what we need are often different, right? Sort of, especially as a coach, is saying, I want you to do this, 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 and this, and this. It's like, well, actually, what you really need to do is something completely different. But I have to do what you want, enable for us to give you what you need.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's the thing, because people, how often is it that people come to the coach with being quite prescriptive and actually is going, you came here to change, so we need to do something different. But we've got
they don't go in and say, well, I expect you to do this with me today to get the desired result. If a plumber came to my house and he showed me his spanners, I'd be like, I don't really care, as long as you fix my shower. That's the result I want. I don't care what tools he uses. And it's the same with coaching, isn't it? It doesn't matter what the coach does to you. No, that doesn't sound right. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter the tools and the techniques and the strategy that they use, as long as you get the results that you're looking for.
But the ego does jump in there and says, hold on, this is a bit woo-woo, or I know more than this, or I know what she's doing, or I know what's happened. It doesn't it? I mean, the ego has to sort of, it comes and presents itself first and wants to challenge. And how much am I paying for this? And who are you? And What are your qualifications? It's like none of that matters, but if it makes you feel better, let's talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, the ego is, bless it, it is there to protect you, isn't it? It wants to keep you safe. If it's unknown, it's going to question whether you need it, whether it's important, whether it's expensive, whether it's right for you, and all these things, because it doesn't understand what the outcome's going to be, because it's new and it's scary and it's, oh my gosh, I don't know what to think. So it is keeping you safe, and that's great. But yeah, like you say, you just have to let that go and trust. And I think, for example, for coaching, you have to resonate with that coach anyway. So, there's me and there's other people that do something similar to me. And I might not be the right coach for you. Somebody else might be, but that's nothing to do with my coaching skills or the techniques that I use. It's the fact that, we don't connect, we don't gel, but you connect better with somebody else who's had maybe a similar experience to you in their life. So I think that's really important, more sharing the story of how we have similarities, the things that we have in common. And, you can see that the changes that I've made in my life, and, that the techniques and the tools that I've used are the ones that, they obviously worked for me. So they're going to work for you as well when we're working together. And, I was very conscious at the beginning about having the credibility, having the certification. And if people said to me, well, who did you do your coaching with, and have you got a piece of paper to prove it, which, like you say, none of that matters, but it bothered me so much that I got the certification, because I thought it was so important, because I didn't want to have that block. I didn't want to have that barrier to somebody working with me, with them saying, well, I don't know if you're too woo and you don't know proper strategy and things like that. So yeah, I did go down that route as well, because I thought it was very important to have, also for me to learn, other ways of helping people, but for people to feel safe that, okay, we can trust Tara because she's got this piece of paper.
What's your core values?
My core values,
or soul values, I don't mind, whichever.
To bring out the best in people, and for people to see that they have more within them than they've been told to believe they have. It's really important for me that people understand that they are co-creators, that they have something within them that's like a creative energy. And I want to bring that out in people. So it's important that, I'm honest with them, that, I have integrity. And if somebody's not going to work well with me, that I tell them. But the people that I do choose to work with and choose to work with me, that we have that connection and we can trust each other.
What brings out the best in you then?
A challenge. I like to have something that's going to push me and help me grow at the same time. If you're working with clients and it's the same kind of journey that you're taking them on, that's like doing the 9 to 5 and doing the same thing every day. But each person is usually different. So it's good to expand my knowledge and to come away thinking, okay, now what do I need to do to prepare for the next session that we have, so that I can help her grow even more, because now she's pushing me and now she needs me to step up again. So yeah, that fuels me, that I have to go away and think, okay, now I need to do something else. Now I need something different. What can work better for her that she will understand? Or how can I level up to be more of a mentor for her?
And how, for yourself, when you're sort of mentoring yourself, do you have an inner voice? Do you have an inner chatter? How are the voices?
How are the voices?
Yeah.
Not that I'm schizophrenic or anything, no.
Yeah.
So I've had a lot of, like I said, I did a lot of work on myself way back in the beginning, and the voices they don't go, but they get quieter. And I think the more that, like I say, about leveling up for my clients, the more that I do that, the more things that come to the surface for me. And I was talking with a friend yesterday, and he was examining my why, because he wanted to do this with his with his team in work. So he was doing the techniques with me, and it was a lot of emotions came up, talking about things that happened in my past that even though I've kind of moved on from them, they're still in there. I just don't bring them out as often. I don't have the I've helped myself to retrain some of the neurons in my brain, so I don't automatically jump to the negative emotions or the negative thoughts, but there are still some that are in there that sneak up on me every now and again, and when they come out, it's great because you have something new to work on. You have a new level, a new devil, as they call it, to work through, and you need to do that to get further forward. So
it's counterintuitive, right? Isn't it? It's a bit like skiing, as I like to put it. Is the first thing you want to do is lean back. The worst thing you can do is lean back. You got to lean forward into it, and then you get control and you get stability, right? It's even though you're hurtling down a mountain. But that's a bit like with coaching, or a bit like with being intuitive or in touch with yourself, is you got to lean into those things. Although nature and everything else says pull back, it's pain, it's it's anxiety, it brings you fear or whatever, right? So, but there is payment or reward in the leaning forward and going through it.
There is definitely, the things that you've been telling yourself for years, if you don't address the fact that you have been saying those things, then you are, again, giving your control over, and you're not taking your power back. You're giving your power to somebody else, because those limiting beliefs that you're telling yourself are keeping you trapped, and you keep repeating them. And until you address them and say, well, hold on a minute, why am I thinking like this? Why am I saying that to myself? It makes me upset that I'm feeling that way, but is it actually true? Am I really that bad at something, and why would I think that? And looking at it and addressing it and bringing it out into the open, exposing it, is what helps you move past it or through it, and weakens the link in your mind, so that you can start reframing what you think and what you say.
Are you able to spot that in yourself, or does it still take a mentor or coach in your life to help you to reflect?
I do have a coach, yeah, I do, but there are some moments that I do catch myself and I'm like, hold on a minute, why am I saying this to myself? But yeah, it does take a coach as well for me to address certain ones that are deeper, I think. I had a lot of money mindset issues as well at one point, and I worked with a great coach for that. But there are still times that I catch myself, and I need the reassurance of somebody who's outside of me to help me with that. The best people in the world all have coaches. Some of them have, 8 coaches or so, nutrition, fitness, mindset, business. So they all have different levels of different coaches. And I think, people are specialized in certain areas. So, they have to be there to help you get through things.
It's okay, as you say, it's because it helps us to reflect, right? It helps us to reflect on what we can't necessarily see for ourselves. People do get head up. I mean, if you want to learn to drive, right, you get an instructor. If you want to learn to write a book, you get someone to help you. So what's the difference? It is, on different horses for courses. Some people will help you with, I don't know, spiritual mentorship. Some people will help you financial. You don't expect the same person to do everything for you, or do you? Maybe.
Well, no, I mean, if you ask me for financial advice, it's going to be in a bit of a mess, let's put it that way. But you have to, like you say, coaches are there to help you. And I don't think they're as coaches like myself, Law of Attraction or Robbins Medanis or life coaching, these kind of services, they're becoming more popular now. They're becoming more well-known. But, before it was all right to have a financial advisor, for example. They wouldn't call them a coach, but things that were like that were more physical things that you could see a result from, a tangible result. They were classed as more necessary, and people didn't think that they needed to work on themselves, on their inner chatter, or their negative mind scripts that were going on. They didn't think that that was part of their journey, that that was important. But the more people that are starting to use coaches and they're getting the results that they, you know, and then they can share those, people are starting to acknowledge that, okay, there might be something here that can help me or other people.
No, it's what have you found has been the most useful then, working with a coach, or, you know, for actually shifts in your life, let's say? I mean, sort of pivotal moments.
One of them was being worthy of financial success and business success. Certain aspects that have played out like a recurring theme in my life that I wasn't really aware of. So that was a great moment for me, that I went back and I did a timeline therapy on that, which was very liberating, I have to say. Not that it completely abolished everything, don't get me wrong. You know, I had to keep revisiting that, but the initial, oh, okay, that makes sense now. And maybe I wasn't thinking good thoughts about myself when I could have been.
Sure.
So that was good.
Just give us an overview about timeline therapy, because not everyone will have heard of that, really.
So my coach had me identifying the past and the future and going back to an early memory that had stuck out in my mind when I wasn't feeling worthy. And I had to explain how I felt about that and the emotions that came up and the situation that it was. And then we went back and I changed the way I felt about it. So it was a different perception. And then I moved back from the past to now. And all the times that it come up that I wasn't feeling worthy, I addressed those with the same kind of mindset. And it was a bit like erasing them as such as I went through to came back to modern day. And that was really helpful for me. And that made me feel a lot stronger and much more focused as well. So that was really good. I mean, I do something similar with clients about sending love to their past and their future. You know, and by sending love back to the woman that was back in 2009, when I had the hug from the universe, I sent her a lot of love for what she went through and the bravery that she showed, because without her doing that, I wouldn't be who I am and where I am right now. And I don't know whether part of the hug was my energy going back to her as well. You know, there's lots of things that could have contributed to that, but that's really important to me, that I keep showering her with love. And the woman that's my future me is doing the same for me as well.
It's beautiful to have that, as you say, that sort of reflection backward and forward.
Knowing that, you know, the past you that you struggled with, you know, if they hadn't been through what they'd been through and hadn't taken the action steps, then you wouldn't be sitting here today and having been on this journey so far. So that, you know, you have to love them for what they went through. They were so brave and they went through so many different things, and, you know, all the emotions and building of self-confidence that my past went through. I'm so grateful that she did that, because if she hadn't, I wouldn't necessarily be the coach that I am right now. And, you know, when I look at my future, the future me that I'm becoming, she sends me love for me to keep going, for me to keep taking those steps. And as I go in, when things come up for me, I think to myself, well, what would the woman I'm becoming do in these instances? Because, you know, if I keep doing the same things that Tara's doing right now, I'm not going to become the woman that I want in the future. So I have to take different action steps, and she helps me with that.
Are you clear? Well, your life purpose, do you have a guidance overall of where you're going?
I want to impact women all over the world. You know, I work like on a one-to-one basis at the moment. So there's only so many clients that I can work with. But I know that for every one person that I work with, you know, that impacts positively at least 10 people around them from the way that they change in their lifestyle. And, the ripple of that goes out. I want to have reached thousands of women all over the world through either my speaking, my podcasting, summits that I'm on, or my coaching. So anything, whether it's free, valuable content or whether it's paid content and working with me, I want women to step up so that their feminine energy is stronger. I think there's masculine and feminine energy in the world. There's a definite imbalance, and that's what causes chaos. We need to raise the feminine energy and allow men to express their feminine energy as well, and reduce a bit more of the masculine energy so that we can have the balance. And I think women need to be encouraged to do that and supported on their journey to do that. So that's really important for me.
Are you of the belief that, some talk about, the feminine energy being the sort of subconscious mind, and the masculine being the conscious mind? So is that something you would subscribe to, or?
No, I don't think so. No, I think the masculine energy is very direct. I say aggressive, but not in a bad aggressive, but they're more determined to get what they want than the feminine energy, because the feminine energy is much more about putting other people first, and that comes through being mothers and wives, and putting the family before their own passions and dreams. So the feminine energy is much gentler, but it is very powerful. It's not forceful, it's powerful. And I think there has to be more of that in men and women to help create this balance that we've got going on right now.
No, it is. It's interesting because a lot of the masculine energy here, a lot of people talking about, it's very close to the ego. It's very, and it's that knowing language. It's that knowing or thinking or knowing, which is potentially closed thinking, which is not open or caring or connecting. It's sort of top of the pride and you will obey type scenario, maybe.
I think of the ego as different to that. I don't think of I guess you're meaning more like being egotistical and, I will be the dominant one, that kind of ego. But how I see the ego is more of that voice inside that's either driving you or stopping you, whichever. It depends on what you're trying to do at the time. But your prehistoric brain was always there to keep you safe, so you didn't get eaten by saber-toothed tigers and all these things. And it's still there. Its purpose is still to keep you safe. It's just that now safety to the ego is not being embarrassed, not making a fool of yourself. It's not about being chewed to death by a T-Rex. It's completely different, but it's still thinking, oh my God, I have to keep her safe. She can't do that because she might die. It doesn't realize that you're not going to die anymore. So that's how I see the ego, as the voice that's protecting you and stopping you from. It's like your overprotective mum, not letting you go out without wearing bubble wrap just in case.
How do you change that from somebody who's anxious / petrified to go up on the stage to somebody says, I still feel that way or whatever, but actually I'm still going to do it? How do you make that change? So
looking at why you're anxious, if you're living in the past, you're likely to be depressed. If you're living in the future, you're going to be anxious. And the present moment is when you find peace. So what's making you anxious? Is it, is it the fear of the unknown? Because if, you could spend your whole day worrying about something and worrying that you're not going to be able to do something. And then when you get to that point, it's all well and good anyway. So why did you waste all that time getting anxious about it and worrying? So it's addressing why you're worried about something, what makes you anxious. And if you're sharing, for example, if you're getting on stage and you're sharing your story, you don't need the prep, if that makes sense. You're not teaching something that you don't know anything about. You're talking about something that you're passionate about. and that makes it easy. So, nobody knows your journey or what you do better than you do. So why would you be anxious about sharing your knowledge and sharing your journey when that's just going to help other people learn something from you?
Because that's part of being of service, right? Is to teach others, to help others, to inspire those around you. You don't have to be top of the tree at the world specialist at something. You just need to be.
Yeah, I mean, who is top of the tree? Who's the top of the tree of anything? I'm really good at something, and you're really good at something else, and together we help people, move forward in a certain direction. But I don't think there's anybody who knows everything. As long as the person that you're working with knows more than you, they're going to help you to get to that level as well.
Totally. Where would we find you in flow state then? I mean, where are you most at home or most in touch with yourself?
I like being in nature. I'm a bit of a tree hugger. I find that trees help calm me down, or plants calm me down. I like to stroke leaves and things like that.
Is it literal or metaphorical?
No, literally. If I'm walking past flowers and there's leaves there, I'll stroke them because they're so calming and soft, and they remind me that it's all, why are we worried about everything? Plants don't panic. They don't think, oh my God, where's the sun coming from tomorrow? Is it going to be sunny? Am I going to get some water? What happens if I die? Or that daffodil's so much prettier than I am. It doesn't have any of these thoughts. It just grows. It just is. And it grows in the most random of places. You find flowers growing through cracks in the pavement and things like that, and trees that are huge that have been there for years, and they just calm, and they're just there, and they help center me and keep me grounded. And it puts things in perspective, basically. If the plants can do it, then why can't I?
You find that recharges you, then clears the head, recharges, allows you to reconnect.
Definitely. Yeah, it does. And it helps calm me down if I'm anxious about anything. And like I said, puts things in perspective. And it's also just good to be, the energy that the plants and the trees give off is pure loving energy, because there's nothing malicious about a tree. There's nothing, there's no bad vibe there. So when you're surrounded by those kind of energies, it balances the energies that you have inside, and it helps to raise your vibrational energy in the body.
Well, what then? What's a great time to get you into a room, and what's a great time to get you out of a room? What's your specialty?
What's the great time to do what? Sorry?
To get you into a room, and what's a great time to get you out of a room? What
a room?
Yeah, well, what are you great at and what are you terrible at? It's understanding your strengths and your weaknesses.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know what a room was.
A room, as in could be a meeting room or boardroom.
Oh, room. Sorry.
Room. So, accents.
Sorry, I thought you said rim. I was like, what's a rim? So what? Sorry, what? Ask me the question again. Sorry.
So so what's a great time to get you involved in something or connected to something? And what's a great time to get you away from something?
So I don't think I understand the question very well.
Well, if I give you an example for myself, so for me, it's when there's problems to be solved or going into creativity, and that side. Now, when it comes to business as usual, get me out of there, because I will start to wreck the place, because when it comes to admin, day-to-day, boring, mundane
right,
stuff,
yes. Okay, that makes sense now. Yeah. So yeah, definitely getting me out of the room would be the same. I'm not very organized with my admin and that kind of background stuff. Answering emails and website design or keeping on top of the website, all of those things are draining and put me to sleep quite easily. So I'm not very good at that, and I don't keep on top of them, to be honest, because I am still a one-woman band. So that is one of the hats that I have to use anyway. But get me on a call with a client, or get me talking about something that I'm passionate about, like injustice to people, things like that. That gets me in the room. That gets me in the zone. And, you know, not that I stand and get on my soapbox, but I can't. It upsets me when people have impressed their opinion or their way or their thoughts on other people. That gets me really riled up. And that's when I kick into, you know, loving other people and getting people to see that what they're doing is destroying somebody's confidence or their life. You know, I know it sounds daft, but things like when you see that somebody's being murdered, I get angry that somebody believed they had the right to do that. Not the action as such. It's the fact that they thought it was okay to impress something on another person. We're all free. We deserve to have the freedom and live the life that we want to live. And nobody has a right to decide to control us. And that gets me in the room.
What's the one thing you'd like to say that often you can't, or it's not it's not the place to say it?
One thing I'd like to say. Just to stop thinking you're so freaking amazing that your opinion matters to other people, that you believe you're so godlike that you can choose to do what you want, because it's not acceptable on any level to anybody to change the way that person feels, or, you know, to take away some of their rights or their, you know, the things that they do to stop them from having control over their lives. Why do people feel that they have the right to do that in any situation, whether it be through a marriage or a work environment or just a stranger in the street? It's not acceptable.
Well, is control a big thing for you?
Yeah, a huge thing for me. I don't like being controlled. I don't like people telling me what to do. Not that I'm some sort of wild cannon and I'm like, oh, I'll do what I want. I don't mean like that, but, you know, I don't like people who think it's all right to judge what I do or say something, because I'm not hurting another person. I'm not impressing myself on another person or my views or anything like that. I'm living my life. I'm manifesting the life that I want through helping other people have a good life too. But I don't like people telling me you're not allowed to do this. And I know this is like with the COVID jab, I got really cross with that. It's like, why am I being forced to do this when maybe I don't want it? You know, and wearing a mask. I don't want to wear a mask. Why are you saying I have to wear a mask? Why are you saying it's the law that I have to wear a mask? It's things like that. I mean, and the government get me cross because they do impose their control on me, and that gets me really angry. So,
bit of a free spirit there.
Yeah, I'm gonna go live in a field somewhere and just, you can't find me. Go off grid.
To be surrounded by trees and hugging them all.
Yep, stroking my leaves and stuff. Yeah.
What's your go-to in the tree or the leaf world then? What's your top of the priority?
I like oak trees because
Why?
they're majestic, they're massive. And there's one in a park that I walk to that is, oh my God, it's enormous. And I hug it every time I go. My daughters are like, come on, let's go, Mum. I'm like, just a minute. I like it here. So yeah, it has to be. I think oak trees are my favorite. But, you know, my daughter brought home a Christmas tree yesterday, but she brought one that was planted because I get really upset when we kill them to decorate them for Christmas. So she brought one that was actually in a pot. So we named him Barry. So Barry's in the back garden at the moment, and he's just so soft. I just keep stroking his like little fur needles. They're like really nice. So yeah.
Barry the Christmas tree, yeah.
Barry the Christmas tree. But he's going to grow old with us because he's in a pot. So we'll put him in another pot when he gets older. So we're taking good care of Barry. He's lovely. Yeah. And I do like flowers that that have got a scent to them, like jasmine, things like that, that smell really good. You know, like if you go out into your garden in the morning, it's just like the world smells really good because it smells of the world rather than your house. Things like that get me excited. I'm just like, nice.
I love it. What's coming up for you in the future then? That, you know, what plans have you? Where do you see yourself going?
I want to grow my business more. I want to reach more people, maybe through group coaching as well, not just one-to-one. I'd love to be a speaker, not just on podcasts, but in the actual flesh. That would be so amazing. Personally, I need to get much more in shape, which I've started. I just stopped smoking, so I'm very proud of myself. 2 weeks.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So yeah, I think, you know, that's one thing. Like an addiction is something that is numbing something inside, because that feeling in your cells through doing the smoking or whatever it is you're doing is shutting off a certain emotion. So, you know, I addressed that, and, you know, I want to be around to help more people. I want to be around for my kids, and I want to be able to have an impact in the world. And I need energy to be able to do that. I need to be fit and healthy to be able to have an impact in the world. And smoking wasn't serving me to do that. So that helps that. So that's what I want to go forward. I want to have a greater impact in my own life, in my children's lives, and in lives around the world. And like I say, I think I have to be fit and healthy to do that. So it starts with me, my body, my energy, my mind. So yeah, taking care of all of those as well.
It's amazing you talk there, because I smoked myself up until 4 or 5 years ago. But I was actually at a Tony Robbins. I didn't intend to quit, but it was actually at a Tony Robbins event. And as you described it, it wasn't about the quitting. For me anyway, it was about all the things that I had to do. And the longer I smoked, then the less, or the further away it pushed all the things I wanted to do.
Exactly.
I think it's a beautiful way of phrasing it, saying, listen, smoke if you wish, but your future dreams, your future goals, just get that little bit further away. So your decision.
Yeah, if you're not around, if you're not fit and healthy to achieve these things, then they're not going to happen, are they? And you know, you're the cells in your body, they get used to being numbed. You know, and they crave, your body craves, not that your body craves the nicotine, it does, but your body is addicted to a certain feeling that the nicotine causes. And, you know, I'm the one that's supposed to be controlling my body, not my body controlling me. So I'm like, listen up, mate, you're going to do what I tell you now. You've controlled me for long enough. I'm in control now, and this is how it's going to be. So
yeah, it's amazing, isn't it, when you actually understand that you are not your mind, you're not the voice in your head. You know, there's so much, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you know, I've been under your control for so long, and I've been listening to you whether I wanted to or not. Because, you know, when you get to a point and you're smoking and you don't actually really enjoy it anymore, but it's the habit and it's the, you know, you can't not do it. It's like, well, that means that it's completely, it's got a hook in me, and me being me, don't like being controlled. I'm like, hold on a minute, you've been controlling me for long enough. Enough is enough. Let's get this out. So yeah, and that was a turnaround for me. So it was good.
Isn't it funny? Yeah, that sort of control aspect of, yeah, you know, it's when you realize that something. I missed recently a sort of understanding with social media, when you realize that you are the product, you know, and it's the same with cigarettes, right? You know, it's like cigarettes are controlling me. It's like, well, no, that's not going to happen. But with some of the social media, it is that, yeah, it's free and all the rest, because yeah, you're on the menu, you know, who can advertise to you, and who can, you know, sort of make money off you indirectly or directly, whatever way, you know.
Yeah, I mean, when it went down the other week, I mean, how many people had withdrawal symptoms from that? I mean, yeah, to start with, I was like looking at my phone going, something wrong with my phone. There's something wrong with the internet. I don't know what's happening. And then when I realized, you know, that actually I wasn't getting online, it was quite a relief for me. I was like, okay, I can put the phone down. I'm not going to look. I'll check it tomorrow. I'm not going to keep checking it every 2 minutes. But there must have been some people who were like, really, oh my God, I can't get online. And it's just like taking the cigarette away, panic, because they don't know where the next hit of social media is coming from. And yeah, that is a bit scary, isn't it?
It's crazy. I mean, I often remember in an office and losing the internet. And literally we sent everyone home, was like, there's no internet. What can you do? Now our systems were connected, our email systems and all were connected. But you realize how dedicated or how connected you are.
Yeah.
Our phone line systems were connected to the internet, all our email servers are connected to the internet. But the only thing people could left to do was to talk to each other and to maybe print some stuff out locally if you wish. It's like, but it's so, yeah, I don't know. There is a price for that too, right? That sort of extreme connection that doesn't, yeah. Is it worth the connection? I don't know.
I like the fact that we connect so easily with people all over the world. I've made some really great friends and I've never met them, and these are online. I talk to them. They help me, I help them, we support each other. And it's really great that you can have that and you're not tied to being in one place. So I do like that. But yeah, sometimes it can be addictive, and it's overloading, the fact that you're on there all the time. And I'm just as guilty as everybody else. I check my phone a lot, and then sometimes my head's just like, my God, Tara, put the phone down. You can't take any more of scrolling and seeing the same rubbish. So yeah, I do put it down then. But
yeah, what's a guilty pleasure for you then? Take the guilt out of it if you wish. Maybe that's what tree hugging is, and feeling flowers.
It is, yeah. I mean, it does take a bit of courage sometimes to do it, because it's people walking around and I know that they're looking at me and I know they're thinking, what is that woman doing? But I like the tree hugging more than I'm worried about what they're thinking about me, so I do it anyway. Food is definitely cheese.
What's your go-to?
Any cheese, anything with cheese on it. But my daughters are vegan, so I do have cheese in the house, but I don't get to eat it that often. So things like that are my guilty pleasure. I'm like, I'm gonna have my cheese, I'm gonna have my baked camembert or something, I'm gonna have cheese and biscuits, and I'm gonna do it. And yeah, that's my thing. Because I'm the meat eater, I'm the normal eating person in the house, and they're the vegans. So it's just easier to cook vegan all the time, because why would you cook 2 meals?
Or just get rid of the girls, either or.
Yeah, well, there is that as well. Yeah, just sorry, little girl, you're not eating tonight. There was cheeses on the menu. But cheese is my weakness, definitely. I love cheese.
Yeah. I had a cheese wedding cake. I feel it. Yeah.
Really? Oh my goodness.
Big round wheel of cheese. Well, there was 3 round wheels of cheese. Oh yeah. My in-laws were absolutely petrified, so they bought us a plain wedding cake, or a normal wedding, like actual cake. I was like, no, we don't need it. It's like, please just let us buy you a normal cake. It's like, well, if you want to, it's totally waste of money, because I'm having a cheese wedding cake.
That sounds amazing. So, I would have loved to be at that wedding and eating cheese wedding cake.
Yeah. It's that's my dedication to the cause. So
I was saying, vegan cheese is naff. It just does not taste the same at all.
Yeah,
I don't mind. I can put up with the oat milk. I love things like that, but cheese, just you can't substitute it. It's impossible.
Yeah, I'm there. I feel it, to the point of actually being hypnosis and that, to try and sort of take the passion away from cheese. It's like, yeah, it's like, how can you make me love cheese less? I think it actually was counterintuitive. I think I love it more. Yeah.
So you need to love cheese less. Do you really, though? I mean, is it important?
Wow. Yeah, it's as my wife would say, it's all about proportions. it's like
everything in moderation, I guess.
Yeah, moderation is, and that's the problem. It's like, I love it so much that just step away from the cheese. It's like, no. It's like,
put like some sort of bear trap around it so you can't touch it.
Yeah, this is the things you do, right? So oh, I love it. Well, tell me, if you were to try and describe your fire in the belly in 1 or 2 words, what would they be, Tara?
For me, it's doing the thing that I love and not being controlled. That's a big word I use quite a lot, isn't it? Not being made to do something that I don't want to do. And I think a lot of people have lived through that every single day. They're doing what they shouldn't be doing or what they don't want to do. So for me, firing the belly is loving my life, having the impact that I want so that I can help people, because, you know, people are just freaking amazing. They're just, you know, I walk down the street and I just want to talk to them all because they're interesting and they've got things to share and they've got passions and they've got dreams hidden inside them. And I want to get those out. That's what fuels me. And I love doing that. Whether that's working with them or whether that's just in conversation. You know, my daughter had a party not long ago and the poor kids that were here, I swear they're probably traumatized. But I was on them all like, what's your dream? What do you want to do? And they were like, oh, I'm scared.
Drink wine and eat cheese. Go away.
Yeah, they were throwing cheese in the garden so I could just chase it. But I think people need to have their dreams and I want to get it out of them and make them think about it. So that making people live their best life is what gets me excited the most, definitely. Because life's too short to be good. It's got to be great.
It's got to be awesome. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So tell us, where can people find you, hunt you down, track you, stalk you, any of the above?
Just hang some cheese out the window, it'll be fine. I'll just sit under an oak tree. No, if they wanted to find me on the web, obviously my website is tarachatzakis.com. You can find me on Instagram.
You misspell that for people.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah. So Tara is obviously Tara. Yeah. And my surname is Chatzakis. I'm on Instagram at Tara Chatzakis as well. And you know, I'd love to give your listeners a gift as well. I mean, I have a free gift that they're welcome to have, which is Manifesting Made Easy. It's 5 steps to help you manifest some things in your life. And maybe even, you know, if what we've talked about resonates with them and they don't think I'm too crazy and, you know, anti-government or anti-control, you know, maybe I could offer them a 10% discount if they wanted to work with me. If they told me that they came through your podcast, that would be great.
Oh, super. Thank you. Thank you very much. Is there a final message you'd like to leave with our listeners?
Do what gets you excited. Don't worry about what other people say. As I've said a few times, you know, life's too short to be just good. It's going to be great. Either that or you're going to wake up when you're 85 and think, damn, why didn't I do this sooner?
Yeah, life is short. Make the most of it. Eat cheese.
Exactly. Yeah, and eat cheese.
Be happy. Tara, it's been wonderful talking with you today. Thank you so much. And I'm sure we'll hear more from you in the future. So thank you for now.
Thank you very much, Pete. I've enjoyed it. It's been great.
You're welcome.